Welcome to Getting to Know Yahowah's Beryth family, where we get to learn about the members of Yahowah's covenant family. I hope you will join us on our journey. Welcome to, I'm having technical difficulties, apology. Welcome to another episode of Getting to Know Yahowah's Beryth family. I have not done an episode of this show in a while for multiple reasons. One being having my daughter with me the last month. That said, I'm so excited to be doing the show today. We have a super amazing guest today. One I've been trying to plan a show with for a while. Let's all welcome Joshua Wastie.
Thanks, Mark. I'm Joshua Wastie, as Mark has just said. But yeah, thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, it's been a while. We've been trying to plan this a couple of times on my occasion where I've had to postpone. But yeah, finally.
A little bit of a time difference, so that kind of makes things a little bit more challenging.
Bit. Only a few minutes.
Yeah, only a few minutes.
Yeah,
and you have a couple kids too, young kids. So
yeah,
two gets in the way. So
yeah.
All right. Well then, without further adu, then go ahead, Joshua, and you just tell us your story of how you came to meet Yahowah.
Okay. So after I got started from the beginning. I grew up in a very nice, loving family. Mom and dad were together. We went to church as a kid from I can probably remember from about teenager years. Went to church. I didn't really pay attention. I think church for me was more, there was a few girls there, a few friends there, so we would just go there mainly just to chat and catch up. It was more like a hangout spot. So for me, I wasn't too interested in Christianity growing up. Obviously, the older I got, I always questioned. I used to look around and just look at the stars and the moon and think, sure, how amazing this person is that created all this, you know. I used to admire that. But when it comes to Christianity, it just never made sense to me. But anyway, I guess I'll start from the main events that led me up to this point, getting to know Yahowah and Craig. Basically, so I was dating a girl from the age of about 13 to about, we dated for 10 years. But during that relationship, the one day I had gone to drop off at home, and it was Sunday evening. I was about 16. I used my mom's company car. She had a company vehicle, and dropped off a vehicle. And I remember we sat outside the house talking a bit. I was so young. I was underage, actually. I wasn't meant to be driving. And I'll never forget that day because I actually begged for my life with it. Because upon her getting out the car and I saying goodbye to her, SUV came up behind me and they hijacked for me. My girlfriend was inside the house, and I stood there, obviously, saw the two men jump out the vehicle with weapons, and then came to both sides of the car, told me to get out. I got out, he told me to turn around, and I couldn't turn around. I said, no, please don't shoot me. I begged for my life. And so from that day onwards, I was very insecure about, about being robbed and stuff. So I was about 16. I said, no, I have to protect myself. I need to get a firearm. So I landed up researching. This was like 2010. I researched how do I get what's the process in getting a license now, because I need to look after myself going forward. So I googled and I saw, there's actually you can get a license if you're 16. There's a loophole, not a loophole, but there's a way. You have to convince the SAP, the police service here, as to why you need the firearms. I said, let me try and do it. So I landed up taking me like a year of studying and doing all these courses in order to prove why I needed the firearms. So I got right. I came right. Because at that stage, they implemented a new Firearm Control Act. So, but I'm just giving you this breakdown so you can understand as to what led me to the places that it did. But anyway, so I did that, and then I was quite young, so I carried on with life. And a few people started asking me, back then, hey, do this for me, because it's obviously quite a bad country. Everyone had to hand in their firearms previously because of the new Firearm Control Act that came out. And I was so young at the time, but obviously at school. I basically started helping a lot of people, and I got involved in politics from a young age. Politicians. Now, a lot of the politicians, because there's a lot of political killings that are happening down here. It's been like that forever. But anyway, so even from the age of 17, 18, people from the ANC, politicians would ask me for help. How do you do this? Because a lot of them weren't very educated, because in politics, it's usually about who you know, not about what you know. So most of them would get into power via family or via friend or via money. So I would help them, and I actually started earning a lot of money, and I was like, hey, let me chase money. So I started chasing money from a very, very young age. That's all I wanted to do. All I thought about was money. How do I make money? How do I make money? So I started doing that on the side. I was also working in construction, property development. So we were doing that, and I was just my life carried on to till about it must have been about 2017. Yeah, because there's nothing really interesting that happened before that. But 2017, that's when sort of things getting a bit complicated. I was making good money. I had, enjoying my life, having all the nice cars and bikes and whatever I wanted type of thing. And then I had an accident heading home from my wife's, or at the time, girlfriend, her house. And I broke both my legs, which put me in hospital. Yeah, well, for like the other person that hit me, he unfortunately passed away, but it was his fault. But anyway, so from there onwards, yeah, my wife looked after me for like a year. I was in a wheelchair. She looked after me. And that took me back a bit, financially. I was a bit, because it's quite hard to get, work and stuff. You kind of have to do your own thing to make money. So I was like, once I get back up on my feet, I need to, get back to work. So I landed up going, signing a contract with Titan Africa Exploration Drilling. We used to do diamond drilling. And I also had at the same time, I was still doing firearms licensing. Anyway, long story, I landed up signing a contract. I went over to the DRC. I worked in the Congo, in Lubumbashi, it's the area in the DRC Congo for about a year and a bit. And during that time over there, the business of firearm industry started, taking over again, started booming. So I decided, no, let me head back home. I left DRC and I came back. So at that stage now, 2019, I was, basically working for myself full time and I had a security company on the side too.
If you don't mind, real quick, I was just going to ask
Yeah.
you two questions. One is with the accident, right? Were you in a car and got hit by another car? Did you get hit by a car while you were walking? Were you on a motorcycle?
No, I was driving home. It was about 12 midnight, and then the other individual that did an autopsy, he wasn't drunk, but he was heading home. He finished work at about 11:30, and he was racing home, and he overtook on the oncoming lane. He overtook a few cars and a taxi, and obviously hit me head on, which he was severed in half. Yeah, he got cut basically in half. And at the time, it was a weird situation because I didn't want to sleep over at my girlfriend's house because her mother came over there from Joburg because she doesn't live, her mother lives in Joburg and she lived down here at the time. And she was studying. So I said, let me go home. So I went home. And that happened. And then I landed up in hospital for a couple of months and then in a wheelchair for like a year.
So, I mean, unfortunate as that is, that's crazy. But to think that you got two broken legs and are alive right now and that person was cut in half and dead. So, I mean, it's kind of interesting, maybe that was Yahowah saw ahead of time and that's a lot for like protecting you. But either way, that's
a lot of things happened
huge.
after that. I would take you from that moment onwards. I felt like my life went a bit, like not a bit, but drastically downhill in the sense of the decisions I made and the things I did, But I also got hooked on painkillers.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I don't want to skip ahead in your story, but my other question was when you said you did work and you went to the Congo or you had got that job, what was the job again?
Oh, site manager. So it's basically what I was, so when I was working down here and doing firearms, I was in the construction industry. So I was a site manager. So property development, we used to do civil construction. And then we moved to property development. So we would buy land and we would develop from scratch, build houses and sell them.
Okay.
But that's quite difficult. It was getting quite difficult to make money. And I was like, during that time, I was like, I had that going. I was working for a company, plus I was doing firearms, which was making the most amount of money out of my money. So that's kind of like what I was doing. And I was chasing money. That's what I was really chasing. I didn't really think about much then. It wasn't about, I didn't even give, so never thought about church, never thought about.
You were in the Congo, and then the firearm thing was taken off, so you came back home. And then I think that's where I cut you off.
Sorry, I seem to, my mind's all over the show.
No, it's my fault. I cut you off, but I figured if I didn't ask, I would forget by the time we got to a stopping point.
So, no, sorry, man, mama. I got ADD. But, so basically, same of us. But anyway. So basically I got back home now, and now I had got a few, like you could say contracts in a way. It wasn't official government tenders, but with a lot of politicians, ANC politicians, and that's when I was making money, and I had obviously I was in the Congo. I said, let me come back home, and I was still on painkillers. I was taking Oxynorm. I was heavily addicted to Oxynorm, spending a lot of money to go to different doctors every second, third day to get a new script. But I've never been one to drink or smoke. But anyway, I was taking painkillers. I was stuck on them. Um, I realized, that this is after like the accident about 2 years later. I said, no, I need to get off these things somehow. So I managed to find a doctor who would help me. I saw it was a problem, and I knew I needed to get help. So I got help, and yeah, he managed to help me get off of them. And yeah, anyway, at this stage now, I'm working, I'm making money. Everything is going good in my eyes, making money. But I had gotten everyone who was working was a politician, politically connected or business wise, big business. So yeah, I was doing that, and yeah, some a group of individuals connected to they obviously two are member of parliament, and then three are municipality members. Yeah, so I ended up doing business with them, and yeah, they invested about big money, just say a huge amount of money. I invested with them, and I ended up getting arrested in 2000, and this was 2023. Long story short, I got arrested. Yeah, so I didn't think anything. I was still confused at the time what was going on. I was kind of following the law, but at the same time, I knew that in being involved with politics, I know what politicians are like. None of them are straightforward. I mean, like Craig says all the time, and I know that for a fact because nothing I've ever done as a politician has been straight. It's always been under the books, whether they pay you or whatever they do. It's been under the books. So I knew, I was like, hey, what is going on here? There's something big, because at the time it was the whole of the country had known what happened to me. Like a lot of people were fighting from all over, and trying to find out from my parents what happened. And this time they kept me inside a prison, and with no contact with the outside world. Threatening my parents. I was still obviously we weren't married that time, but my daughter was born. She was about 2, and now I'm in jail. Can't get hold of anyone, speak to anyone. So they kept me in prison while they extorted my family for quite a large sum of money. And eventually the state withdrew the charges. It was just all of a sudden because of corruption. 2 of those people that we had got paid from were killed, were obviously murdered, because to stop the whole syndicate so they wouldn't get caught. Because my parents had opened an ARPID case, which is they investigate. I don't know how it is over there in the States, but they investigate police. These ARPID, it's a special investigating unit. So they investigated them. Once we opened that case, then 2 of those people that I was working with, that were politicians, were killed. Then after that, the state decided to withdraw charges. So then, yeah, that's basically when I got out of prison. And then, yeah, my father had always.
So basically, you said that. So you came back. You're doing all the gun stuff. You're hooked on the drugs. You went and got some help to get off of the drugs. You're still doing the kind of the gun thing, which all that was usually relative to large business or politicians, which obviously tie together because they all feed each other. And so then you did a deal where you gave them a large sum of money.
Yeah, this was a deal. It was a deal it was more of an investment. I planned to make some money with them, but it all came from the firearm industry. It had to do with firearms, and everything was revolved on firearms. So it was more of like an investment to make a large sum of money.
Yeah.
Although I already had known, you see, at the time I was working, I knew the law, and I was like, hey, but I work in between the law. I use it as a guideline as to how I do my business. Because over here, it's also, everywhere, over here, you kind of, majority of the people use the law as a guideline, and to make money over here, you kind of have to do that. So I was paying people off, and unfortunately, I did land up.
You're paying
I wasn't left for no
money.
reason. I'm not this innocent boy who ended up going to going to jail.
Yeah. So you invested money with them for a deal, obviously, maybe a little in the gray areas or whatever what you were doing for some favors or whatever to help you along the way or down the road. And then somehow something came out that someone caught wind of, and to kind of shut it down or quiet people, they locked you up for no explanation really. They just locked you up and they didn't really
Exactly.
tell your family anything or any of that. Or
Yeah, correct.
okay.
That's 100% correct.
And then
Yeah,
once
and
they
then
dug deeper and they got into the people that were the political people that were involved and found information, somebody else took them out in order to silence them, I'm assuming.
yes,
And
yeah,
at that point, they said, okay, we don't need you anymore. You're a small fish. So they just dropped the charges and let
yes,
you go.
yeah. Just let the small guy go. Whatever, he's nothing. He'll keep quiet now because that chain was broken now. So where those smaller people like me were cut away, it couldn't lead up to the bigger person that's standing behind, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So they had done that, and yeah, I was kind of, I wasn't really fearing for my life, but even though the people around me were dying, I was like thinking, you know, I was in Westfall, I was in the jail, so I was like, hey, what's going on? That type of thing. I heard some people snuck in. There was phones. Obviously, you would know in jail there's phones and whatnot, and so a lot of the guys would who would pay to use a phone. I'll use a phone and try to get information what's going on in the outside world because there you're locked up. You can't use their phone. You can't ask the warden, hey, can I use a phone? The phone or pen? They don't allow you. You know, it's illegally, and you don't get let out. You don't go on like you don't even see the sun. I'd basically put my hands up the bars to get some sun on my skin. That's how bad it was. But yeah, so it wasn't a very cool time there. It was like, it was horrible, horrible. And I was questioning as to what was it there for. I was trying to find out all the reasons, all the things I did wrong, and all the laws and the business I was doing. Just find out, you know, what led me to this point. Why am I arrested? Like, although I knew kind of, you know, I had a rough idea as to I knew what I was doing wasn't right, you know, didn't it? But so I wasn't like,
It
I'm
was
not.
like a internal justification. You still probably didn't really want to accept it. Like deep down, you
Yeah,
knew well, you're just kind of shady, but you're like, all right, man,
yeah,
I didn't do anything. Give me reasons.
yeah.
And your mind
Yeah,
can
like
try
that.
to trick you to be like, see,
Yeah,
I didn't do anything.
yeah, exactly. Like they're charging me for something that I wasn't even doing. So like what I was charged for, I wasn't even like doing. So I was questioning. I was like, why am I being charged for this? Like, I mean, if you're gonna charge me for the correct thing at least, you know. Anyway, so it was a Schedule 6 crime, so which
Yeah.
means that you have to do a formal bail application. You can't just get bail. So it was kind of like they said I'm a risk to the South African economy. That's the reason why they denied my bail. I was a risk to the economy. But yeah, supposedly. But anyway, so
But they
then
dropped it
obviously
all. They
they
dropped it
dropped it
all
all.
eventually.
Yeah, they dropped all the charges after the second murder. The second person got murdered. Then I'll go to court that obviously I had managed to get bail. Now finally, with the formal bail application, after the first guy got murdered, I got bail. And then during attending court, we had a case opened investigating the police, and yeah, then second person gets assassinated, and then I appeared in court a couple months after that, and then the state decided they want to withdraw all the charges against me.
So you
Yeah,
got
so like,
bail and you were at home. But how long did you
yeah.
end up spending in jail or prison? Where?
Okay, so I was in my local jail for. They wouldn't transport me because I was also a little bit of a high risk person to transport because they had vehicles at the time of the arrest. They raided my house with like a lot of members. So there was, yeah, it was quite. I made the newspaper and all the news outlets over here. So it was quite a high risk transportation. So they actually waited like maybe I think it was like a week or 2 weeks before they moved me to to the court, and they denied my bail because of the Schedule 6 crime and me being a risk to the economy. So then they said, yeah, so then now bail, I went to Westfall to prison. It's Westfall prison now where I live. It's actually, I live in Westfall, an area. There's a prison close to me. It's a big
So they
prison, one
didn't
of the biggest
transfer you
prisons.
because they were afraid you'd get killed.
No, yes, that's why they were worried to transport me because the guys were protesting inside the police station saying, no, they must get a special unit to transport them. They didn't want to transport me because they said they were worried about their lives. But they managed to get a team that would transport me. They put me in like bulletproof vest and they transported me. But at that time I was still processing what was going on. I wasn't really focused, I wasn't like, I was still shocked, like, yo, what am I arrested for? I already knew what I was doing, but I wasn't charged for that. So I was like, well, this doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. But anyway, yeah, so that happened. Then yeah, like for me, yeah.
I was just gonna say, how long did they have you locked up?
Oh, sorry, yeah. I was about, wasn't that long? About three months.
Okay.
3 months? Yeah, 3 months. But
Yeah.
but with no contact with like I was isolated, completely isolated in the cell 24 hours a day, for, basically. So yeah, the food it was life was horrible. Food you get fed once, the doors would be shut, and yeah, then the guys would they're big Christians inside the jail, a lot of Christians inside there, because when commit crimes. Now they want to supposedly
Cry
ask
out
for
to
forgiveness.
God.
Yeah, cry out to God and get for forgiveness and whatever. So, and funny enough, I didn't even really know Yahowah at this time. This is not 2023, beginning of 2023. And I didn't know Yahowah. Even though my mom and dad studied him, watched Craig, listened to Craig, and studied Torah all the time, I never paid attention. I was too busy trying to, make money. I was like, even my family, I didn't really, I neglected them. I was too busy out. I used to come home late at night. Everything was about money, to be honest. So that was a bit of a big issue. So
In
I
case
didn't.
people don't know, your father and mother are Mark and Bridget Wastie.
Yeah, that's my mother and father.
I'm sure they put
So,
it together with your last name, but
so
just in case.
yeah, there's not many surnames like that anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that happened. Then obviously upon my release, I had some time now to process everything. And there's something my dad used to. He works in an engineering company, and he used to make these clocks, and he used to have Yahweh's name, written on there. So like, I don't know. I always remember the clock and him, And I think the one day where Chris caught when I came home from jail, and then I looked at the clock, or whatever, and my dad said, "Hey, no, you must really start to read, the Torah, get to know who Yahweh is." And I kind of, sorry, man, my mind's a little shut, but yeah, before that, I never accepted Jesus as, being who God was, because I always doubted it. So for me, it was like, I see I'm going from, I'm jumping back now, but
It's all right,
I
man.
never, sorry, my brain's a
Following
little shut,
you.
but yeah, so I never, I always thought there was, and I knew there was Christianity, there was something wrong there. I just couldn't pinpoint what it was, but it never made sense to me. Having faith, and nothing was, no one could explain to you the facts. It was just all made up. It was like, it's a scam. It's like nothing is truthful there. Anyway, yeah, so going off track there, but yeah. So when I came out, I said, let me give this a shot. And I listened to on Twitter when Craig posted on Twitter back then, 2023 towards the end, before they changed to X. I watched a short clip on Twitter, before it changed. And the moment I heard him, I was like, yeah, this man, hey, let me listen to my father and let me listen and see what he has to say. And I listened and I was like, this guy's like, I think this guy's on point. And from that time, I was hooked. A lot of people they say, when they first heard Craig, they get hooked, and that was happened to me. The moment I heard him, I was like, okay, this man knows what he's talking about. But during that time, Yada had a lot of problems with, I can't recall her name, but the first lady, I think her name was Anne, the mother goddess cult, whatever, that left.
Is that
So now
D?
she,
D
yeah,
Powers?
or D. No, it could be D. It could be D or Anne, whatever it was. Anne,
I
whatever it
didn't
was.
know her, but I know from the shows they've said D Powers was, I think, the main
Yeah,
one with some other guy.
yeah, so there was a few. So now during that time of me getting involved, I hear all this. I'm just getting too involved now, like just start to listen. And now this happens to them. So now obviously I think naturally in your mind, although I knew what he was saying was right, I was like, this is a little bit, why are people saying this about him? You know what I'm saying? Let me actually just double check what they're saying. And I just thought about it. I was like, at the end of the day, like, what has Craig got to gain from this? What do you think? He's a smart man. He's made his money. He spent the last 25 years studying and doing this. A different story if it was like a religion where they want money from you or they want something from you. Like, Yada, he doesn't want anything from us. He's trying to give us an opportunity to get to know who Yahweh is and all this information and this website. But yeah, at the time I was still like, well, how can people say this? I mean, he
I
doesn't
mean,
ask for anything. He doesn't do
it's
any of the thoughts.
he hasn't come
Hmm.
out with a reason unless he was just sadistic where he would be trying to mislead people so they didn't, like religion, make it to Yahweh and the covenant. Other than that, he hasn't come out with a reason that he would be profiting from it, and
Yeah,
he's running out of time, honestly. So it's
yeah,
like, and he's human. He's not
yeah,
perfect. He admits it, but he also tells
yeah,
us, if he was trying to mislead us, he wouldn't tell you to go, verify what he's saying and things like that. So,
yeah,
and when you think
yeah,
about the Nakar and the Nakri, it's kind of like he says, who else is doing this? You know what I mean? You got
yeah.
these other
There's
little
no one.
MGC and all these cults, and it's like, okay, say they were the right ones, but they just now coming on the scene and they're using all his material. You know what I mean? There's
Exactly.
not
And they're
time
not
for
even
somebody
open.
else to do what he does. Yeah,
They're
and they're
not
not
even trying to
sharing.
teach. Yeah, they're
They're
doing
like,
nothing.
yeah, I
They're
ran
stealing
into
his information.
somebody. I think I ran into somebody last night on Instagram post that they commented on, that I commented on, and I'm new there. I haven't devoted as much time as I should in my short time, but I also just remembered last night, I haven't even been doing it 2 years. You know what I mean? And so there's a lot of stuff I've heard, maybe learned, or just heard in passing that I've already forgot because there's so much information. It's hard to like retain it all. And so I just responded to the comment of what I thought. They responded again with stuff. And I was like, okay, some of these are actually valid points, but until I go explore and dig deeper into it, then it's like, I can't really say for sure. But what I can say is, okay, I can kind of see where you're coming from, but I also see it from a different perspective, you know? And then I pointed out a few things that I remember that Craig had said, or I had read. And then their comment was, you know, I didn't dig into it. It was late last night. I got tired. I'm like, now's not the time. But it was like, well, that's interesting that you brought up Craig and boy, and they went in. I said, I think these might be some people that are, you know, part of a group of either the MGC or maybe Doe or whatever. So I haven't read their comment because they sent me a comment and I saw like a notification, but I think I'm running into one of them now. So
the fact that they got, like, I mean, the fact that they're stealing his information, they got nothing better to do with their lives than run someone down and steal the information. I mean, who makes a page of whatever it's called, the something cult of whatever of Craig? I mean, what have they got to do with their lives? They got nothing. I mean, so like I used to think, you know, well, what has Yahowah got to gain from this? You know, personally, if it was a cult, if it was anything of the sort, he would have something to gain. Anyone that does this is either in it for financial reasons or in it for power or whatever. I mean, like, I hate to bring up money, but I mean, he could have done many things with his money, you know, when he retired or not retired many years ago, and got himself famous or popular or whatever the case may be. What if they're claiming that he wanted power or whatever? He could have done that. You know, he could have done that whatever he wanted, but you know, his purpose was very different. You know, and that's how we also, I was getting involved when I also realized that he was deployed many times. You know, so all these new prophecies were being uncovered at the time. So it was also much information for me. So I was like, I only get to learn the basics here, you know, like what's going on. I still at the time wasn't circumcised because, and neither was my son circumcised as well. So like in the beginning, I started treating it like a religion as well, which is quite bad. It's to be like, well, surely, you know, if Yahowah, you know, I accept him and I love him and I'm not circumcised, surely I'll be part of the government and I could, you know, participate in the military, you know. And you know, in the beginning, I was treating it, but that's far from the truth. I mean, after, you know, doing more research and learning and understanding, realize that you can't participate, you know, if you don't follow, you know, his 5 conditions, terms and conditions. So like, then, you know, I got my son circumcised and my wife knows the reason why. And me and my son got circumcised same time, well, within a week apart. So that was, 2024.
Okay, so 2024 is probably when you first looked at the clock and you started thinking, like, you saw the clip and you're like, okay, so you're kind of on the same time frame as me, like maybe a year earlier starting your journey. Because this was my second Chagmata, so 2025 was pretty much when I started to.
Same.
Yeah.
Put it that way, about the same,
Man, and I'm nowhere near as smart as you are.
No. Well, I mean, I've been battling to get on the show. I mean, I'm not smart. I'm scatterbrained. I'm all over the show. Like, especially at nighttime, I don't take my Ritalin. So, like, at nighttime, I won't sleep. So I can't take Ritalin now. So my brain is jumping this way, that way. So I'm thinking of this, saying this. I mean,
to take your what?
Sorry, my
take
Ritalin.
Your what?
I take.
You
Ritalin.
take Ritalin? I did when I was freshman in high school. And then for not too long. I mean, I had teachers that had me that year and then had me in junior year and said they saw a difference because I wasn't taking it then. And but I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 8th grade, maybe. I think now they just diagnose everybody with it, like and there's so much stuff behind it. So I don't know. I'm a toss up on it, you know, from it's how we're raised. It's I read something that it has to do with the mother's mental state or emotions or hormones when she's pregnant. You know, I don't know enough about it. I just know I took it and then teachers said they saw a difference, but I went from like, you had to go. I don't know if it's the same for you, or maybe it's just when you're a kid. I had to go get blood work all the time to see how it was affecting me. And I went in like little checkups, and I went from like the 75th percentile growth rate to the 25th. And the only thing I ever wanted to do when I got to high school was play football, because my parents wouldn't let me when I was a kid. And I wanted to be like 6'2", 250. And I'm 5'6" and 35 pounds in high school. So
but your mental state was at a different
level. And I remember watching a video when I went to the psychiatrist or psychologist when they did it about the side effects of it. And one of them was like stunting growth and stuff. Now, could have had nothing to do with it. My mom's short, but I am the shortest person in my family, male-wise, by like 3 or more inches. So because the next shortest like 5'9". I'm like 5'6.5" probably at best, and my next shortest person is my cousin, who's like 5'9". Everybody else is 5'10", 6'2", whatever. So it could have played a factor, but there's other things in my life. It could have just been a fluke. Who knows? But I did take it. I haven't for years. I do think I probably would benefit from it because, but it is an upper, you know, even though it affects us different, but it'll keep you from sleeping.
That's why I can't take it at night. Like even now, I'm thinking back, I'm like, oh, I miss, like when I don't take it, that's the problem. I didn't take it at school. I was also diagnosed with ADHD, and so when I took it, it was apparently my mental state was not good when I was younger, and took it. So my parents took it off. They took me off of it when I was a kid, so I didn't end up taking it. But only in my adult years did I depend on it, because my life became a lot less busy. So for me, it helps me relax, calm down, and think straight. Because so I've only been taking it the last since say 2000 and basically after jail I've probably started taking it. It helps
so basically
me
you chose read.
It helps me concentrate, focus. Like right now I'm all over the shit. You know, I'm thinking this, saying this, and you know.
2 comments on that. One is maybe I need to get some. Wish I did. Maybe I'd be able to focus and read more. 2 is, so you decided when we were going to do the show today to not take it so we could see the wild, crazy you.
Yeah, crazy. But now I look like a bit of an idiot because I let loose and I'm speaking and I'm missing everything. So
not at all. It's part my fault because when I jump in, obviously that throws you off track. But I'll do my best with my scattered brain to help keep you on track, you know, when we're not just
I've got the scattered brain, bro. I've got a scattered brain, especially when I think it's to
I'll rein you back in then. We were talking about, obviously you got out, you saw the clock, you were talking about that, you started reading, and then when you were new and saw the clip and you were drawn in, then also too, you started to see some of the MGC or something, people along those lines. You maybe caused a little confusion, but then you're thinking what you were talking about with Craig, what does he have to gain? Why would he be doing it? And so that kind of probably helped guide you to know that he's the one being truthful, not these other people that are attacking him all the time.
Yeah, and even when I did attack them, it was like, how do you say? In the beginning, it was like it never took me on. I never started talking to them or anything. It was just mentally bothering me. Like, why are they saying this? Like, okay, what would be the reason? You know, in the beginning, it was like that. You know, I was still getting to know. I only listened to the shorts, so like, but I was like full on, like, you know, this man, everything he says is right, but why are these people saying this about him? And I was trying, and I was like, but I couldn't find a valid reason as to what he would have to gain. And from that time, I didn't know much then. I was just saying, what has this man got to gain? What, you know? And there's zero. I mean, so it didn't make sense for me at the time. And after getting to know and studying and listening more, and I also don't read much as well. Like Craig mentioned, Gen Z problem. I don't like to read. I hate reading. But I sometimes read if I find something that's interesting. I'll read it or whatever, search it and read it. But I like to listen. But yeah, like everything about Yada resonated with me. And then obviously, so like, we kind of the same thing, I guess, finding out all these new, you know, prophecies that have been uncovered, and about Amma and about Yada being deployed, 7-8 times. All these things like are just crazy. And I mean, we came in at the wrong time, but the best time. At the crazy time.
Well, it's the best time, but it's the most accelerated.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
It's like jumping on a treadmill that's already set to 10 miles an hour, and you're just
exactly.
Whoa.
And you unfit, and you try. Well, I better get fit right now.
And then they wanted to make it more interesting, so they said, all right, family, make shows. Market, set, go. And then now we have even more material to do. So it's like,
and hey guys, if you don't, you need to start participating and start, contributing to the family.
And it doesn't have to be a show, obviously. Let's make that clear for anybody watching so they don't get confused. You don't have to do a show. It's just another avenue to engage and participate. It's another way to hopefully reach people. Obviously, what we're saying compared to Yada, the Choder, the Nakar or Nakri, like, we're on a whole nother level, and everybody's on different levels. Roger, Will, their shows are like very informative and knowledgeable, and probably slightly, beyond my levels that I could do.
Yeah, mine as well.
But if somebody watches this, it's in the remnant in the future or during the rest of Jakob's troubles once we're gone, or even now, if it just leads them to watch Craig's shows, you know what I mean, or to crack one of those books.
Yeah. Pointing, and like you mentioned, sorry, to bring you back to that point, I was also like posting, before you started the shows before last year, I created an Instagram page and my own personal X page. I'm not a big fan of Twitter, but I was using it, and I used to just repost stuff there and also post Craig's reels on Instagram. That's what I've been doing for the last year and a bit. I'm just reposting, and I made my own little Instagram page. It's called Who Is Dode. I don't know if you've seen it. I just repost stuff there all the time.
You said you reposted something and it was what?
Yeah, so on that Instagram page, Who Is Dode? That's the one that
That's you're saying?
Yes, yeah. I've been just reposting those for the last, year and a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, every little bit counts. I didn't have really social media. I had like Snapchat or Instagram. Then I never used them, delete them from my phone. Then I'd use them. For multiple reasons. One of being, it was so time consuming, man. And I still struggle with that. But then they're like, do it. So then I created an account and I started doing stuff. Didn't do a lot, a couple reposts and comments or likes and shares. But it would still, I'd come home from work after driving an hour or more one way. So then it's 2.5 hours a day. You work a day, you come home, sit down, try to check people's stuff and like it and comment or whatever. And it's like an hour and a half later doing nothing. I don't mean not that I'm not doing nothing. I mean, I barely scratched the surface, and it's an hour and a half later. I still need to shower, get dinner ready, eat. I want to read and so it's or watch the vlogs. And so I've fallen away from social media more. I do a fraction of what I want, even on the website. But between trying to do some of these shows. Watch other people's shows, try to watch the vlogs, which I'm behind on all of the shows and vlogs, and then maybe even read some of the content of what people post or Kevin posts. And it's like, I haven't even, honestly, I tried to do one, then I have my daughter. I haven't even really delved into a lot of the new material there, not because I don't want to. I mean, it's so interesting and amazing. I have so many other books I need to read to even build a base. You know what I mean? And I've contemplated recently about even stopping to watch the more recent shows other than a vlog on a vlog occasionally to see if there's more news information just to keep me current, and actually going back to some of the basics or some of the older shows, because when I was watching some of those older shows in the beginning when I came on in 2025 and started to, pursue Yahowah and trying to learn his Torah and a relationship with him, those were more helpful to me than some of the newer stuff, only because he was more on root stuff that was closer to where I'm at. Does that make sense? I get what he's saying now, and it's awesome, amazing, and it's very important as well. And I like taking some of that in, but it's here. It's not the foundation, and my foundation's still not complete. And so I've thought about going back and trying to watch more of that stuff, because you miss an episode.
So kind of like thinking like building a house in a way. Yeah, you start with the foundation and you build your way up, get the strength there, that base, and then you go up. Yeah, I also didn't use Facebook. I actually only use Facebook to really get to know. And in the beginning, when Craig was posted on Facebook, that's when I had Facebook downloaded, but I never really used it. You probably see I got 20, 30 friends on Facebook and a couple profile pictures. I was never a social media person. And, but I know Instagram, I do have Instagram. It does consume me, my personal Instagram, which I don't, if you do start watching stuff and you can get distracted, especially with the kids, you know what it's like. having kids and whatnot, you can be really busy. So like, I don't really go on my personal one, which I just repost the reels or whatever and do that. But like the shows, I've only just started now last week. The first show was with other Mark we did, which will be posted soon, and then the one today. And now with you, so
Yeah.
three
I'm
Marks,
excited
three
to
shows.
see your show when you guys post it. Just so obviously people know, it's you, Joshua Wastie. It's Mark Mullane, I believe is how you say it correctly.
Yes.
And then who's the other person?
And then my father and my mother.
Oh, so your father and mother both on there. Okay. And then since we're here, let's plug it. What's the show called and what's it about again?
So actually, Mark Moran is still busy changing that logo because we had a thing set up. That's why nothing was posted. So we'll see shortly. We'll see when you post it, what's the thing. But we're changing. We had a few ideas. We're all giving our ideas, but we've done the shows. We've done 2 shows. We just haven't posted anything. Well,
what's it about?
Mark. Oh no, so Coming Home. We started Coming Home.
A book club.
And we're reading. Yeah, book club.
Okay, cool.
It's a book club. Yeah. So we started with Coming Home. So we started reading there, just 2 pages each, and having a small discussion on, just on the topics and the things that came out, pointed out that we thought resonated with us and whatnot. So basically, what you're doing, book club. Aren't you guys doing a book club?
We're doing a book club. We ended up giving it a name called Walk with Yahowah Through His Torah, and we actually started on an Intro to God, Volume 1. So, and we're kind of doing about 10 pages, a show, just taking turns reading, like you said, and discussing.
So we're doing the same.
Yeah, and I think we're on page 81, I think now. So.
Oh, is it page? Yeah. So, you see, you guys are way. We're about page 20.
I mean, what do you do? You can only make the show so long. You can only read so much. And the books are long books, and there's lots of books.
Yeah.
That's why it's like everybody could do a Yada Yahowah book club from now to Shabuah, and there'd be plenty of books to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's 35 books, I think, currently, and there's about to be
35
more in the
and it's still more
coming home series. And there's 600 to 800 pages each, pretty much. Like we're not going to finish an Intro to God before Shabuah, most likely.
No, exactly. Can you just imagine the amount of time? 25 years, and it's taken him to do all that. I can't begin to fathom the amount of information that man and how
now he writes a book in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, but not only that, like it's crazy. But I mean, just everything else. I mean, he knows just so much. I mean, like
one of the things somebody, my daughter's mother, and said it to me in the past, and she's like, oh yeah, basically like, who's Craig, and these professionals, and they say, and it's just like, look around you. Everybody that's ever considered a professional, you can take 2 of them. One of them's on this side, one of them's on this side. They're all skewed. They all have a reason. But let's also look at it from a logical perspective, and they're all corrupt, whatever. They have their people that, why they lean a certain way. I don't care who you are. And you do not even have to be the brightest person. If you study something, especially if you're in his position where you don't have to work per se, you can spend 5, 6, 7 days a week spending 8, 10, 12, 14. It doesn't matter. I don't care who you are. If you do that for 25 years, you will become really good at something. Now, can 2 people with different, intellect and stuff like that get to different levels? Of course. But even you and I, if we spent every day, all day studying something, we're going to get pretty damn good at it. And in your own right, you become, what's the word I was trying to look for?
I think it's just be passionate about it too.
Well, you become an expert in it. Like to some extent, you become an expert. Like anybody that studies that long is going to get good at something. So regardless of if you've got some, theological degree or whatever, you went to seminary or it doesn't matter. You're a Hebrew scholar. The bottom line is if you spend and devote that much time, you are going to get very informed and really good at something, so it's kind of like, it just defeats the argument, but to get you on track, what I want to know is I definitely want to know the rest of your story. We kind of let off where you got into it. You were doing stuff and you saw MCG. I just want to now hear kind of the follow through where you started to learn more, grow more. You could talk more about.
It didn't end there. There's another race.
What's that?
Yeah. I said it didn't end there. There was still another incident that happened after that.
Okay, well let's go from there then.
Yeah. So okay. So where did I end again?
The MCG, we were kind of talking about that, how you were a little confused. You
Okay.
started.
Okay, yeah. So then it was, so it was then about, sure, okay, it was, so we got off there. So I'm starting to get to know now, listening, reading, and now I'm heads in, like, deep in it now. This was last year, December, beginning of December. I actually went quiet in the group. I was posting reels and everything, and obviously no one noticed, but I wasn't there for a little while. But so what happened on that day, I had, and this is all from our past, politics, caught up again. But for what reason, I have no idea. So my daughter was home that day from school. She was sick. And then, landed up at about 10 o'clock. About 30, 35 members from a special task force unit raided the house once again. Now, this was the second, so I mentioned they tried the second time. The second time they didn't come right because I managed to get hold of one of the it's like colonel, one of the sergeants, the big hardtop members at my local station, to stop the second raid that tried to happen. But anyway, that didn't happen, and I left. I thought they would never try again. They didn't come right, and they attempted again on the 3rd of December, 2025, and they came right. They've entered the property. This is all policemen, a high level unit, not a normal police unit, like a special force, type thing. They raided the property and they arrested me. And now, but this time I was heavy into posting and reading and everything. So they arrested me. They took me to jail again. And I still remember all I did was draw on the walls because Yahowah's name. And I was so bored there. I was there myself in a cell, locked up on myself. So and there was so much graffiti all over that wall, and just stupid things, also religious things. So I kind of sketched all that out and I drew his name all over that wall. So I was there for whatever, it wasn't long, but 2 weeks or whatever the case may be. I was stuck in there also, no access to the outside world. But I just drew because there was so much graffiti all over that wall, and it was like, the Bible, Jesus signs, and Christian, the cross and whatnot. So I kind of sketched all that out and I drew his name all over that wall. So I still remember kind of getting a bit of trouble. They were going to charge me for damage to property because, and I was like, yes, that's it, exactly. I drew that all over. I literally erased basically. I had so much time on my hand, and then I asked my mom to send me get me a book. She printed a book, Time of Trouble. I started to read that book there. So she dropped off that book there, but we printed it because we didn't have any purchased versions. She just printed it for me and brought it to jail. And that's the only time I managed to get access to any books. From the first arrest, I never got access to anything. I wasn't even into it at that time. But second time, I landed up reading the first 400 or 350 pages of The Time of Trouble. I read that book like maybe 7 times. The first 300 or so pages, because she only printed 300 pages. So I managed to get a phone call there because I knew everyone at that jail. And I said, hey, please, a phone call. I said, hey, please, can you put me more? I want to carry on reading. Somebody said, no. You must slowly read, get to know that book again. I still remember, but on The Time of Trouble, that book there, it only starts getting it's obviously always interesting, but it starts really getting into detail at about 200 odd pages plus. That's where it starts getting into detail. So I was like, hey, I'm missing all the, the cool parts of the book. When I mean cool, everything's cool.
I haven't read it yet, but I heard the beginning's just past history kind of things.
Yes,
and empires before it goes into 100%. The other stuff. Yeah.
That's what I was also. I was like, hey, come on, I wanted to read the next part. It's getting so interesting.
What's coming up?
What's coming up? And he's like, no, get to read. Just go again. And then I was grateful. And when you kept saying come on the show, a lot of reasons why I didn't go is because I was still involved in that case, which ended officially not last week, 2 Thursdays ago. I went to court again. I've been appearing in court still as well. Almost every month, twice a month, appearing in court, and obviously bail conditions. And I rock up at court on Thursday. I had no idea that they were even make sure it was going to drop the case. I knew that the case would drop, but it just a matter of when. But it takes so much money because you have to employ a counsel and senior advocates and attorneys and whatnot. So I was stressed because financial reasons, it costs a lot of money, even just being, presenting, having a defense and whatnot, even if it's a small case, it still matters. So anyway, I was pretty shocked. On 2 Thursdays ago, I appeared in court and the magistrate decided that this charge needs to be, thrown away. So they managed to throw the charge, the 4 charges out of court, and yeah, I was basically a free man from 2 Thursdays ago. Onwards again.
Did they was it related to the old charge, or was it something they were just trying to make up
same
new?
same people, exact same people, or extortion of money and stuff like that. They always do that. Everything's about money. Well, I'm sure
they try to bring new charges based on the old stuff in order to get you to pay them, bribe them.
Yes, that's exactly it. Hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's all about money. That's the one thing I've learned about politicians. Everything's about money. They even kill their own family members for money. I mean, down here, it's crazy, and I'm sure over there everywhere. It's just maybe not on that scale.
It's like, gross.
They're disgusting. Yeah, I mean, and so I already knew. I was kind of just, I was just waiting for that moment. But yeah, basically, I was never. But since starting to study, I've never really been scared or worried about myself in that sense. Am I gonna die? Am I gonna get killed? And I've been fine. Haven't been shot. Haven't been killed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I used to be very fearful of a lot of things. I still think I am. Like, I want to go out and enjoy the woods, but I don't want to get mauled by a bear, or I used to surf, and then it's like, I really don't want to get bit by a shark or, whatever. But at the same time, it's to some extent, I'm almost like, if I die, whatever. It's like, I know the truth now. I'm either going to cease to exist, or I'm going to be able to go to Shamim with Yahowah and Dode. You know what I mean? And I know the truth now, so it really doesn't matter to me as much,
Yeah. Well, to me, it's still like, I do think about it a lot, and I'm thinking, hey, what if? But although I do want to be here and I want to, see it through to Shibuya and whatnot. So for me, it's like, obviously I don't want to, and I don't think it will happen at the end of the day. As Covenant members, I think we'll make it to Shibuya, and then so all this will take place. But that's for me. It's like, but it hasn't been something that's bothered me. It's never bothered me. It's like, it's even, I don't know. I think maybe it's my mental ADHD in me that I'm not really scared. I don't know. I've never been fearful of that, and I guess maybe the arrogance back then of I'm invincible. You think you're invincible, nothing can stop you, type of thing. But back then, luckily nothing ever happened. But it just got. So many people around me died and were killed, and those people I was friends with at the end of the day, and they also, if not more invincible than I thought than me. So it just goes to show you how your life can be taken. But basically, I see my brain is so all over the shop. I've probably missed things out, but basically from the time I had gotten to watch that first Twitter page, that video, the short, I was hooked. I was like, this man, everything. I could never. I got to a point where I stopped trying to, listen. Like in the beginning, I said, I'm not even gonna bother with the trying to figure out if he's right or wrong. He's right. Why question him? I mean, he's always right, and he'll always be right. Everything about this.
It's not always. He'll be Sadat. He'll be right with Yahowah. It doesn't mean everything he says is right.
Yes,
I mean, and I haven't verified as much as I should, but obviously he has a past that proves that he will come back and let you know if he was either wrong or just found new information that changes things slightly or expounds on them. He has a history of doing that and going back and rewriting his books, and now on the show telling us if there's something new or he was maybe a little off on something. So
I understand about those mistakes, those small things, but like in terms of getting to know who Yahowah is, that I'm referring, like talking about that. I mean, he's right. And I mean, getting to know who Yahowah is. I mean, and his Torah, his words are true, and his words are real. And that's only.
We know Yahowah's name. Like, just think about that. Like, it just rolled off my tongue. Yahowah. We know Yahowah's name. 25 years ago, nobody knew Yahowah's name.
Can you believe that? And no one even now.
The best thing you had was people maybe writing the Tetragrammaton, the English letter versions of the Hebrew, but it's not. It wasn't his name, obviously. But the fact that we know his name, we know the Elohim, the Almighty One, the Creator of the heavens and the earth, of everything. We know Yahowah's name.
Yeah, but
that
don't you find it so
amazing?
Exactly, but don't you also find it astonishing and amazing how no one's really interested in also getting to know who? So don't you think that? Don't you look at sometimes these religious people and be like, damn, they must be stupid. I mean, how can you just be listening and be inside and get, well, suppose you think you're going to know who God is, but you have no idea. I mean, come on, like
I,
surely there has to be something that goes through your mind, be like, hey, let me like fact check this. Let me check if this is legit, you know. And if God is so amazing, why would He ever change His word? Why would He ever change? Yeah. So,
I was
and how would
probably
He be
one
able
of
to kill
those
him?
people at one point. So I mean, just most
No.
people aren't thinking about it, and they're just
Yeah.
going with the flow. Most people don't investigate things or question things, and they
Exactly.
just kind of go. Or they were brought up a certain way, so they kind of believe. Like the people that question are kind of. It's weird to think, but they're kind of an exception to the rule.
Yeah.
That said, like I said, I was kind of like that at one point, but I think a lot of the people honestly haven't really been introduced to the material. Doesn't mean it's not out there now, but think of
Yeah.
how few people we are and how many people we can reach. So, but there are people, obviously, I haven't really like shared with a lot of people or been in the position to or whatever. But what I would say, my very few experiences, and just from the way I observe things, most people don't want to know. And most people,
Yeah.
if you tell them,
Exactly.
are not going to accept it. They're just going to
Yeah.
shut
Live
you
their life,
down.
and yeah, 100%. And like also, Yada mentioned many times, they're too depressed in their own love, too selfish, worry about themselves. Like do something for someone else, for once in your life. Get out your own little bubble and do something for someone else. And then you might get there. But yeah, I think they're too busy. Yeah, they're just stuck in this thing. But also at the end of the day, if you don't say, hand like we're doing now, you doing these videos like Yada's doing, and give the information and try to reach people. You never know who might be listening and who might listen, and like you or me or any of us that have heard and be like, yo, this is right. I don't think you can kind of, whoever is receptive to hearing what Yada has to say will never, I can't see how they can turn away. So one thing, let me just close this door. Yeah, 1 second.
No, but no problem.
Yeah, so basically what I was saying is that they kind of all, you can't tell me that, I just can't see who can have a rational debate with the other, who I wish, not wish, sorry, bad word, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see someone have a debate with the other, and I always thought that'd be so cool, one of these supposed scholars to come have a debate on the show and watch Yada put them to shame,
They wouldn't be able to. They wouldn't be able to
still,
stand up to
they
them.
won't. They won't
He'd
even come
shut
on the
them
show.
down left and
Yeah,
right.
exactly. But with facts, with truth, it won't be
Yeah.
shutting down. It'll be with facts, because
Yeah.
you can't run away from the truth and the fact. So yeah, I just thought, so I've always just it just resonated with me from hearing that first clip from Twitter. Yo, that day I was hooked, even though I already knew, and that's what kind of got me looking into Twitter and Yada was my mom and dad. They're the ones. They didn't force it down my throat. They just mentioned his name, but that clock got me to. There's a little clock that my dad has on the wall with Yahowah's name on your t-shirt, same on t-shirt thing,
Yeah.
exact same thing, and
saw-
that's kind of what got me through.
I saw
to the
your
point where I'm
dad's
at.
show on Call Your Next Witness. He definitely lived a very eventful, interesting life.
Yeah.
And he seems like a pretty awesome person. So glad that he found Yahowah and was there to plant some seeds, and you obviously eventually followed suit. So I mean, we're at the point now where we're basically current, on kind of where you're at now. You have a wife and 2 kids.
2 kids.
And then your wife, she's covenant.
She's too depressed to step out to do something for someone else, and pay attention and closely examine, carefully consider, and do any of those things. So she knows his name. She acknowledges his name.
She's okay. She doesn't like harass you about it. She's okay with you.
She's okay. She just She occasionally will make a statement of, "Come on, can you help with the kids now? Can you do this? Can you listen to Yahowah later?" type of thing. And I kind of be like, "Hey, like you're saying it in like a little bit, but like sometimes she said in irritating. You know how women can be sometimes." Type of thing.
Don't put me on record saying that. I'm not agreeing with you. People are gonna watch this. Don't get me in trouble.
Yeah. Well,
I'm single, so I have no room to talk.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, is your woman partner type thing, not in general, but yeah. So yeah, that's the problem. I wish that that's what I was saying. I wish that things would start happening around the world, but it is too late. It's too late. But I wish that
Well,
things would start
you
happening
can
so I
hope
could
for
she could
Tarua.
see. Yeah,
You can hope
exactly.
for
So she could
Tarua
see.
more.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And I've
Your
in the
son's
past
how old? 2.5?
he's 2.5. Yeah, he's
And
two
then
and a
your
half.
daughter is six and a
She's
half.
6.5. Yeah, six and a
Does
half or 6
she
and whatever months. Mm.
does she know like Yahweh's name? Like I'm sure you
Yeah, she
shared that.
does. She does.
Okay.
She does.
Awesome.
If I say what's God's name, she says Yahweh. So, but obviously at that age, there it's very difficult to teach them past the point of a little bit of Yahweh's name. And obviously, I've tried to raise my son now in the same way that Yahweh wants us to circumcise your kid, your son, and so forth. So we got our son circumcised and myself as well because I wasn't circumcised as a kid. But yeah, so like we did those things there, and yeah, so and it is hard to teach a child more than the basics, the real basics, because they're kind of more interested in running around or playing or whatever. And my son too, like I've tried to train him now, Yahweh, it was God's name, but he's still learning to talk. He still hasn't even been. He can have a basic, I want this, I want that, or Daddy, come here, or this, but it's nothing advanced. But yeah,
I
when you
had my
start to, which
daughter, and she was here
yeah,
last month. We had the neighbor kids over, and she was in the pool, and I was sitting at the table outside, and they're playing or
mm,
something. And we have like a blue pool noodle, and she's
yeah,
like told one, she's like, yeah. I don't know if she said blue or this is Yahweh's favorite color because I had heard that on the show.
yes,
Blue is
yeah,
his favorite.
blue,
I haven't studied
yeah,
it enough to really know unless it's just relative to the flaxseed flower, which is blue.
mm,
So I didn't really, I don't know. So I was like, yeah,
yeah,
and then the girls were like, who? Yahweh? I'm like, yeah, that's God's
yeah.
name.
Yeah, that's why I
So
also put a blue heart too. But funny enough, my daughter come home and be like, Dad, they're supposed to school, and I'll be irritated because why? Like, I hate the fact that the schools are teaching kids about religion. But anyway, she comes like, Dad, well, why you told me Yahweh's name is Jesus? I said, no, don't listen. They don't know what they're talking about. They're stupid. I said, don't listen to them. I said, they don't know what they're lying. They're
and that's
lying.
the
I said,
hard part
schools do
without
that.
having my daughter too. Obviously, I'm not even in a position to figure out whether I'd be courageous enough to stand up like I should because I'm not
Yeah,
there. But it's like in my mind, I'm like, if I had her, I'd be going to the school and I'd be like, she's not pledged allegiance to the flag. She's not,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Holidays, keep her out of it,
yes,
and obviously she likes holidays because her mom celebrates them. So she's kind of torn and she'll be
mm,
like, well, I don't want to celebrate him Yahweh, but then my mom and da-da. And I said, look,
yeah,
just be honest with your mom. If she makes you do something, there's only so much you can do at 7 years old. But I'm like, if you
yeah.
don't want to do it, you have to make that decision and you
Hey,
need to tell your mother, hey, mom, I don't want to celebrate the holidays or whatever, which I know
yeah,
I'll get backlash because I'm the one telling her about it.
yeah. That's thing.
But so I don't know. It's tough. It's tough for, you can only so much to kids and it's in the schooling and everything else. And so situations
Yeah.
are tough. And in this case where I don't have my daughter, she's with her mother most of the time, I have limited control, but planted seeds and, hopefully
Yeah.
if I get harvested and Yahweh doesn't bring her just because of relation to me and her knowing his name, then hopefully there's enough stuff that her and her mother wake up and make Teruah.
Yeah, that's what I kind of similar thinking. I just thought that maybe there would be more destruction around the world to for it to wake up and see. Like this was
There
like
will
last
be.
year. Yeah, there
I
will
just
be. Yeah,
don't.
yeah,
I mean, it could
100%.
happen. It could
But
happen any day with everything said.
yeah, I just hope
And
that she would get on board with me sooner. Although,
yeah,
like, thankfully, she's not religious. She's like, so we don't have, there's no trees, no nothing. Even though she's not covenant. She doesn't participate in any religious things whatsoever. I've gotten her to not. In the beginning, she would, like, when I started to get to know Yahweh. Yeah, she in the beginning she was like, hey, why aren't you putting it? Why can't we have a tree? I said, no, we're not having any Christmas. We're not celebrating anything. And she kind of like, listen, like I'm not saying it like I was the boss, but she would kind of be like, yeah, I agree that that Jesus thing is rubbish. But she wouldn't be like, yeah, actually, let me follow you and let me listen to what Yad has to say, or let me learn about Yahweh or his Torah. That's the only thing. But she does acknowledge his name, and so at least that's a step. But yeah, but
yeah,
that's the only step. But yeah, so luckily she is not convinced because I can imagine being in a relationship with someone who's religious and having kids must be bad. I mean, you can't. I can't say you can be covenant and be with a married to a religious person. It wouldn't work.
yeah.
Too much conflict. So luckily she's not. But still, yeah, it'd be so much better if she was. And I also stressed about that in the beginning, like, well, and the kids, what happens to the kids? But sometimes I use the Ask Yada feature on the website, like in the past when it first came out, like what happens to the Covenant family's kids, on Shabua type of thing. So like I was always confident in the reply and what I got, and from reading, and like I said, I search I don't read a whole book. I kind of search for a topic that I'm interested in and I read that. So that was one of my topics as well back then. And going forward, I don't read a whole book. I kind of read what I think, whatever topic it may be. I might search it and read a little bit, a couple pages, 20, 30 pages, and that's it, and then move on to something else, a different topic. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. That's why, like I said, with the ADHD brain, the conversations have been here, there, everywhere. So
no, that's fine. I mean, I think we've pretty much covered, everything or most of it, unless you have something you thought about that you want to circle back to or you want to bring up.
Those are the only things that really stood out to me in my life. To be honest with you, I guess that really stood out. That got me to the places. Like, to be honest, going to prison, I think was the best. No, I think I know was the best thing because ever put me on the path to getting to know Yahowah's Torah. It was that. So I'm grateful for that. Even though I didn't have the money I used to have and all those cool things that I thought were cool. And I'm happier than ever before. Like before getting to know Yahowah, I mean, I was not nearly as happy as I am now. Like now, I look forward to the future. There's just so much to be grateful for and to look forward to. Before it was, So
I have to work on my mindset still. It's still a work in progress.
I have negative thoughts sometimes too. Like, hey, what's the future like? Am I putting enough effort? Am I doing enough? Am I contributing enough? I always think like that. I'm like, so. But I think
I guess we gotta just keep trying. I mean, you just keep trying and you're growing and all that. One of the last Call the Next Witness shows I watched, and they were talking about, I think it was on the John Galito one. They were just talking about, Matt and maybe the others, but no, Matt's about, he wouldn't want to change anything in his life, and to some extent, when I look back in my life, if it wasn't for things happening the way they're happening, and maybe I can't remember everything in my past, but definitely, I did more questioning. I think, I did a lot of Christian related stuff when I was in prison, but I did a lot more questioning of things as well towards the end about those things, just planting little seeds, and then just other things I went through, that I was at the point where I might not know Yahowah, or I might have said, okay, I'm going to choose not to try to, pursue a relationship with him. So I don't think I would change anything. I mean, it hasn't all been fun, but I wouldn't be here now, even with the little knowledge that I have and the willingness to want to try to grow and learn.
Exactly.
So,
but that's what I think as well. I think if I had changed, I mean, I wouldn't change them because I'm if I could change, I would be scared. I wouldn't be led to this point in my life, and where I'm at now. That's why I wouldn't want to change anything. I mean, I don't think back and be like, oh, my life was so difficult. So this, I mean, people have had, you in Britain for a lot longer. I mean, you never, I don't know. Like, I don't think of it. I think of it as like a good thing. I mean, I needed that. It's the thing that calmed me down, that put me on the right path in a way. Not that it was like, it's like, it just put me on the right track. It gave me that opportunity just to listen to that one video. Because before I was 24/7, I just money and running around working, doing this, doing that on a mission. At least now, that first, when I was released, it put me on the right path to just give it a try, give it a shot, just give it a listen. And from that first listen, I know even if my life got so busy and hectic again, I would never actually allow it to get that busy because of I want to know the Yahowah, and I want to know who he is and get to know more because my knowledge is still it's minute compared to what others have, and that's what I also worry about. Hey, do I know enough? I forget a lot. I'm like, yo, what's wrong with my brain? I forget often. I think and I think, am I stupid? Why can't I remember this? These things, I'll remember at times and I forget. So that's one thing that bothers me a lot. And I think, hey, that's why. It's because I'm I'm stupid or I can't remember or I haven't studied hard enough. That's why, you know, that's what bothers me a lot. Am I putting enough effort? Maybe because I put more effort, I would know this, you know. And then, yeah,
I think we can all put in more effort, and trust me, I put in a fraction of what I should, and that's a constant thought in my head and a constant, I mean, I guess a mission or a goal that I need to continue to work on and get better at. That said, I will say I should try to remember, and you should try to remember. I mean, I'm not even 2 years in, you're not even 3 years in, really. You know what I mean? And so
yes,
expectations have to be at a certain level. That said, we are running out of time. So I get it. You know,
exactly.
We're at the end of the race. So like Shannon said on the show and stuff the other day, you know, finishers, you know, everybody speed
get
up.
To the end.
Yeah. But no, I think we just got to keep going. We got to keep trying, keep pushing. Yeah.
Get to exactly. Make the time. You know, at least I wake up every day, and it's something I want to know. I'm sure it's all of us will be the same. We want to know. It's like when I lie in bed at night. It's the last thing I go to bed thinking, and the first thing you should wake up thinking. And then kind of through the day, you would do whatever you need to do. And in the time, I would either read a bit, but it'll be like 10 minutes here, 20 minutes here. And in the evenings, I would have the time to listen when the kids go down or whatever. I put my earpods in like I have now, and I listen like that. Because with the kids running on, it's havoc at night, and when the show's gone. But I like, you know, same, you know the story with the kids. But yeah, I think we always naturally gonna feel like we can do more and we can put in more effort. And I think it's good to keep trying and feel that way, because then you'll want to put in more effort and you want to do more, you know. So I think it's so good. I think it's important to feel that way. I guess that's just my point of view on that.
Yeah.
You know.
All right.
You know, I keep trying harder, but yeah, it's very nice. Thanks, Mark, for having me.
Yeah. On that note, I think we covered your story pretty good. And then after the show, if you want, we can chat some more. But I guess we'll go ahead and sign off for now. So thank you, Joshua, for being with us. Thank you, Mark. Everybody, for watching.
Thank you.
This was a show a long time in the making. That we were trying to do this for a long time. So I'm super excited and glad that we got to do this. So once again, thanks for coming on, and I hope that everybody enjoys the show. Until next time, we'll see you.